in Bulawayo. But for now, let's take a look at our leading stories. Flash floods leave trail of destruction in various parts of the country.
In other news, Mbare men arrested for selling alcohol to juveniles.
The arrest comes after a video of the intoxicated children went viral on social media.
Highlanders Football Club elections set for February next year.
We'll give you that and more in sport.
In our leading story, flash floods have left a trail of destruction in various parts of the country, with several families stranded and cut off from social services.
In the Midlands province, travelers woke up with no road as the heavy rains have swept away Sesame Bridge, a key infrastructure that connects Gokwe North and South districts, while several villagers were left counting losses.
Our hearts go out to all those who have been affected by the disaster. Some of the major distress incidents that occurred includes a male adult and 3 children who were marooned at an island in Sesame River in Gokwe South district on the 20th of December while herding cattle. Fortunately, the children were able to move to a safer place with the aid of cattle tails when the water had subsided. On 28th of December 2023, a major bridge on Sesame River that links Gokwe South and Gokwe North district was damaged, resulting in one of its approaches collapsing and swept away. There is no access road from Gokwe South to Gokwe North. Thus, motorists are advised to use Kadoma Access Road, which is more than 200 kilometers.
Honorable Nube urged communities to remain mindful of the dangers posed by the heavy rains and raise alarm for urgent assistance to avoid unnecessary loss of lives.
We want to urge the communities to desist from crossing flooded rivers, finding shelter under trees, as this put their lives at risk of lightning. We urge the media to disseminate accurate and timelessly information to the public, raising awareness about the ongoing response efforts and providing guidance on safety measures during this period.
Meanwhile, the Civil Protection Unit has since deployed a team to assess and establish the extent of damage and advise on appropriate action to restore normalcy.
In Mashonaland West Province, 6 people have been marooned along Munyati River in Urungwe. One of the 6 has since been rescued by his relatives who had to dare the high water tide and used a canoe to rescue their family member. Mashonaland West Provincial Director in the Ministry of Local Government and Public Works, Mrs. Cecilia Chichio, speaks on the development.
One person has since been rescued through efforts by collective village people. 5 are still stuck, but we have mobilized the Air Force of Zimbabwe to come to the rescue, as well as Sub-Aqua from Kariba. The 6 people were 800 meters into Sanyati River. They wanted to cross, but the water level rose before they could cross.
The site where the 5 people are marooned is said to be more than 100 kilometers from Karoi, with the bad terrain posing a challenge for rescue teams.
And in Harare, hundreds of residents in Budiro 5 Kebs area have also been affected by rising water levels, which have flooded homes and destroyed pathways.
The waters are moving with ruthless ferocity. End result has been flooded homes and families exposed.
Another rude wake-up call to authorities who have allowed residents to build on wetlands. The flash floods in Budiro suburb of Harare have again brought to the fore the effects of what others have termed recklessness in the allocation of residential stands. Most families are bearing the brunt of flash floods, a result of burst banks on Marimba River.
Munzvimbo yakafektwa nemvura umo mune mvura isiri kuita iri kubudikira kusvika kudzimba dzatiri. Tori nedzimba dzakatovharirwa nemvura, vamwe vasikwanisa kubuda mvura imomo. Kana vanhu vari kuenda kumabasa vasikuenda kuenda kumabasa because hapasi kukiroseka.
Plus dzimba dzakazara mvura. chokwadi mvura yakazara mudzimba dzese dzepamhira pa dzakazara mvura.
Aiwa ndatomudza ari pakudzoka ndichingodzika ndobva ndangotenderera noko handidzoke napo ine simba ndiri ndega ndigoni.
Some, like Samuel Choa, have just finished their work shift, only to face the darkest reality of their life.
Nezuro ndakatodarika ndichitoenda kubasa mvura yakaserera takatofamba zvakanaka. Saka nhasi pandatobva kubasa ndotirege nene kumba ndopatotosvika toona mvura yakatodai apa padarikika apa.
Many families are now taking a huge risk, but they are left with very little choices. They have to navigate these dangerous waters in order to access their other point. Their lives are seriously exposed and they are now at risk of being washed away by these dangerous waters. Theophilus Chuma, ZBC News, Harare.
Justin, so this problem of flooding doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon in Harare. What is happening?
Yeah, it's true, Mandipa, and perhaps the city fathers are responsible and they are to blame because wetlands are protected areas and actually no construction is supposed to be taking place there. But looks like it's really a situation that the city fathers should address.
Actually, the mayor of Harare has spoken on that issue.
Yes, he has. The current flooding situation in Budiriro and Kwadzana suburbs of Harare has been described as a manifestation of poor planning by council, which approved residential stands on wetlands. Let's get the details.
The flash floods in Harare have exposed the city council for approving residential stands on wetlands and water paths. Representative of residents in the capital city said it is unfortunate that people are at the receiving end of poor planning and greediness on the part of those who allocated them residential stands.
Chairpersons of the housing cooperatives allocating residential stands in wetlands are pocketing huge amounts of money, claiming to processing the papers, facilitating regularization. This has disarmed the victims to the extent that whenever there is a disaster, they have no other plans other than to be drenched in water, have their property destroyed, and probably relocate for some months until after the rains.
Harare Mayor Councillor Jacob Mafume admitted the anomaly, saying they are working on reversing the approval of some residential stands in affected areas.
What we are going to do is that for those that were allocated land legally and it is within an area where you cannot construct, we are going to give them alternative land. For those that have gone and invaded areas illegally, that is what I was talking about, that we are becoming uneasy as a council with the process of regularization illegalities.
The Harare City Council has been robbed with corruption allegations that have seen some officials being arrested for unprocedurally parceling out residential stands. Wellington Makonese, ZBC News, Harare.
Let's now shift to areas of development. The year 2023 was a huge turning point in the country's aviation industry following the commissioning of the newly expanded Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport. The country projects further economic growth based on the 2023 milestone.
It was a busy year for Zimbabwe's aviation industry, which yet again registered significant growth following the opening up of the newly expanded terminal of the Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport in August this year. The $150 million airport expansion project has seen annual passenger holding capacity rising to 6 million from 2.5 million, hence providing a springboard for the growth of the country's airline industry.
The official opening of the new infrastructure, which is the expanded Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport, which increased the handling capacity of this international airport from 2.5 million passengers per annum to 6 million passengers per annum, which to us is very significant. Following that, we also saw new airlines launching routes, not only into Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport, but also into Victoria Falls, where we saw also flights into Kariba, into Wange. We have also seen increased flights even into JM Gomo in Bulawayo, as well as increased business into Victoria Falls.
The expanded airport is now handling increased business visitors and tourists in line with the growth of local investment opportunities.
We are also having the effects, or feeling rather the effects of growth that is happening in the mining sector, for instance, even in the agricultural sector, and also in the travel and tourism sectors. So that has seen, from our statistics, an increase in movements in passengers that we have handled in our airports. We have since surpassed the pre-COVID levels, and we are very excited about that. Now, coming to the uptake of space, yes, it has been very positive. I think we can safely say that we are almost at 70% occupants in the new infrastructure.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Airports Company of Zimbabwe, Mr. Tawanda Gusha, reckons that the year 2024 will also witness increased regional and international flights and are putting in place a robust marketing plan to showcase the modern national aviation infrastructure of the country. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
The Prime Minister of Sao Tome and Principe, His Excellency Patrice Trovoada, has pledged to be an ambassador of Zimbabwe after visiting the Victoria Falls this Friday. More from the following report.
The leader of the Central African state of Sao Tome and Principe, His Excellency Patrice Trovoada, could not help but marvel at the majestic world wonder, the Victoria Falls, which he visited this Friday as part of his private retreat with his family. After spending time in the presence of Zimbabwe's Tourism and Hospitality Industry Minister Honorable Barbara Rotsi and her staff from the ministry, who conveyed President Emmerson Mnangagwa's greetings to the visitors, the Prime Minister left with a vow to be an ambassador for Zimbabwe's tourism.
Very good last impression of Zimbabwe, and I'm sure going back to my country, and not only, I will be a little ambassador of Zimbabwe to the world.
Zimbabwe is excited to be receiving high-profile visitors time and again.
They've come on holiday to see the Victoria Falls, while on the other side of Livingstone in Zambia. Good collaboration between ourselves and Zambia government through their Ministry of Tourism and our Ministry of Tourism and our ministries as well of Foreign Affairs. They came here this morning, had 2-hour breakfast time together with us and together with their family and their officials. It was great, and it shows that we have other countries and other heads of states that are appreciating what the government of Zimbabwe is doing and appreciating our tourism.
At different intervals, the local tourism sector hosts different personalities from across the globe, with their visits coming as an important global endorsement of Zimbabwe as a tourism destination of choice. Mhlomuli Ncube, ZBC News, Victoria Falls.
Zimbabwe awaits the final decision on its application to rejoin the Commonwealth by early next year and before the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Samoa scheduled for October.
Zimbabwe's application to be readmitted to the Commonwealth is now in the final stages of assessments, with a verdict expected to be passed early or mid next year, according to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade.
We have had a lot of meetings with the Commonwealth Secretariat, and they had their last visit here sometime this year, and we are hoping that in the course of early 24 or up to mid 24, we should get an answer of what their verdict is. We were talking to the current chair, well, my colleague in the country that is current chair, that is Rwanda, as the current chair of CHOGAM, and they did indicate to us that Zimbabwe may be accepted back into the Commonwealth before the next CHOGAM.
If successful, readmission into the Commonwealth grouping will be a massive milestone under the Second Republic, which is prioritizing a rigorous engagement and re-engagement policy. According to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, the country's foreign policy has been significant to unlock inroads into commerce and European markets, as well as in many African countries under the Africa Free Continental Trade Area. Theophilus Chuma, ZBC News, Harare.
Government has accelerated efforts to promote the production of traditional grains, with an inputs distribution facility having been launched for sorghum.
In its quest to sustain the country's food security in the wake of the predicted El Nino, government has moved in to avail more sorghum inputs to farmers wishing to plant the traditional grain during the 2023-2024 summer cropping season. This was revealed by the Acting Chief Director, Agricultural and Rural Development Advisory Services in the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, Mr. Stanislaus Tapererwa, in an interview with the ZBC News this Friday.
Farmers can enter into joint venture with other to grow sorghum under dry land. So a farmer doesn't have to have irrigation. Those in high rainfall areas, they are now supposed to come on board and sign JVs with other so that they can access the inputs. So once the farmers have accessed the inputs, they are expected that they grow the sorghum and they are supposed to deliver to GMB on a cost recovery basis.
Under the new program, farmers are expected to sign joint ventures with other.
We are urging all farmers who are interested, who have got the land, particularly the A2 farmers, who have got idle land, which they have not put any crop to this season, to quickly sign these JV forms so that they can access the inputs. And all the plantings, we are urging farmers to plant by the 10th of January, which is next month.
The government is rolling out several initiatives, such as construction of dams to promote irrigation and distribution of inputs under the Pfumvudza Intwasa program, in a bid to make sure that the country is food sufficient. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
The ruling ZANU-PF party and the Institute of African Knowledge Instac have signed a memorandum of understanding on the documentation and preservation of the history of the liberation struggle.
The memorandum of understanding was signed in Chinoi at a place where the first shots of the second Chimurenga were fired in 1966. Several ruling party stalwarts, including members of the Zipra Properties Board, attended the signing ceremony. Instac chairperson Professor Simbimu Bako bemoaned the information gaps currently obtaining pertaining the liberation struggle, with his War Veterans League counterpart Comrade Douglas Mahia indicating that more events relating to the War of Independence is undocumented.
The story of the liberation struggle, or the story of the liberation struggles of Southern Africa, in Kwayakatangi, we started somewhere. And the Association of War Veterans, we are living, we will say it, and we are going to say it starting from now. One, patati kuondo, chakaita mniko. Nema comrades, machida, hapana isoti ndiye nachala. Tikaudana kuti kana uchinge wafa iwewe. Tichazoya tokutora. And each time, yandotaura nyaya not back. Because it's not much spoken about. And yet ndini ndakataurira nakapa kuti ndichayandokutora.
Guest of honor and ZANU-PF Treasury General Comrade Patrick Chinamasa said the Museum of Africa's Liberation will help in promoting the renaissance of the continent.
ZANU-PF shall, 1, provide instant access to liberation war records and archives in their custody for the purposes of digitization and documentation. 2, assist Instac to access liberation war records and archives in the possession of other organizations and groups such as ZANU, ZAPU, ZANGA and ZIPRA for the purposes of digitization.
It is hoped that more information will start emerging, especially from the former Liberation War Wings, ZANLA and ZIPRA members and other persons who participated in the War of Liberation.
The Citizens Coalition for Change Interim Secretary General Mr. Sengezo Chabangu has called for national dialogue with ZANU-PF to foster development across the country.
As the rift in the opposition political parties, particularly the CCC, continues to widen, the party's interim Secretary General Mr. Sengezo Chabangu says national dialogue of various political players is critical for the nation to move forward.
We engage even ZANU-PF on national interest issues. It doesn't matter
whether we're in opposition. But what is critical is that if you can't fight ZANU-PF on the election, you lose. Then you need to rebuild the country. How do you rebuild the country? We engage. So national dialogue is one of the key issues that I will be key issues that I will find myself every day being persuaded and making sure that we achieve.
Chawangu also believes the perceived sidelining of former CCC Vice Presidents Mr. Tendai Biti and Professor Woshwe Ngube by some party officials is not good for the politics in Zimbabwe.
It was not easy in 2000 to stand as a candidate and say, I am a representative of MDC. So these people are still living today. In trenches, they are there in cells, they are there in our communities, but we have retired them. So we are saying this is not the time. We haven't arrived where we wanted to go. So we will go back to basics. We will go back to the convention and charter a new way forward. So I have got no doubt at the back of my mind that the flag that I'm carrying now, the clarion call that I'm making now, it's going to bring these people back to the fighting space, back to the fighting zones.
The opposition political outfit is found going tough after the August 23 general elections, with the recalls instigated by Chawangu threatening the split of the party. Bruce Chawanda, ZBC News, Harare.
You can revisit these stories and more on our website at www.zbcnews.co.zw and also interact with us on our X handle at ZBC News Online. We are also at ZBC News Online on Facebook.
Also like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, ZBC News Online. And in stories still to come, Barry men arrested for selling alcohol to minors. The arrest comes after a video of the intoxicated children went viral on social media.
Highlanders Football Club election set for February next year. That's in sport. We'll be back with these stories and more. Stay with us.
Nyanga is located in Nyanga district, Manicaland province in the eastern highlands of Zimbabwe and lies along the international border with Mozambique. This location lies immediately north of Nyanga National Park in the eastern highlands, about 115 kilometers by road north of Harare, which is the third largest city in Zimbabwe. This location lies approximately 265 kilometers by road east of Harare, the capital city of Zimbabwe and the largest city in the country. Nyanga sits at an elevation of 5,509 feet above sea level. Nyanga also houses Mount Nyangani, the highest mountain in Zimbabwe, which lies about 20 kilometers southeast of the town. Its highest peak rises to approximately 2,600 meters above sea level. Nyanga is primarily a tourist town and is a popular tourist destination with its fishing, golf courses, mountain hikes, and holiday resorts. The Mutasa Falls inside Nyanga National Park are the highest waterfalls in the country, cascading about 760 meters from top to bottom. The surrounding areas also contain many Stone Age and Iron Age archaeological remains, such as pit structures, stone forts, terraces, and pathways. Inside the town is a bustling township of Nyamuka, around which there is an ever-expanding growth of high and medium-density housing. Nyanga is also the host to the largest army training camp in the country, hosting recruits from across the African continent. The Nyanga region has long been regarded as a place of great natural beauty. In 1896, Cecil John Rhodes wrote to his agent, in quotes, "Dear MacDonald, Nyanga is much finer than you described."
Thank you so much for staying with us. So most of us saw that trending video of children drinking alcohol, and you probably asked where and how they got it. The latest is a 23-year-old man, Phaeton Mutiaya from Mbare suburb in Harare, has been arrested for selling alcohol to the juveniles on Christmas Day.
Mutiaya is in trouble for allegedly selling alcohol to juveniles on Christmas Day. Mutiaya's arrest comes after a video of juveniles drinking alcohol went viral on social media on Boxing Day. The video caused the public outcry, with the police conducting investigations, which led to the implication of Mutiaya and the recovery of several liquor items. Meanwhile, the ZAP has revealed that it has identified 9 juveniles who were in the company of the other 2 juveniles from Epworth. The juveniles are aged 5, 7, 9, 10 and 11 from Nyerere Flats in Mbare. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
We now cross over to our Montreux studios in Bulawayo, where Dora Ncube is on standby with more stories. Over to you, Dora.
Thank you so much, Mandipa and Justin. A good evening to you. Very depressing scenes there for a parent. Very sad indeed. We continue with the news. Government's rural development and industrialization drive is now in full swing, with the Agriculture and Rural Development Authority rolling out 4 village business units under Chief Mapanzure in Zvishavane. There are indications that horticultural establishments will begin the coming year. Midlands Bureau Chief Tafara Chukumira was in Zvishavane and filed the following report.
The community-based village enterprises, which are being established under the Rural Development 8.0 model, seek to inspire rural communities to treat farming as a business, where government provides startup packages with a business manager set to steer production and value addition for the benefit of the community at large.
Shareholders of the scheme, so that during the course of the season, when they harvest and market the produce, they get dividends since they are shareholders. Because production is done at the back of a sound, profitable, and a viable business case. Do you know the fit that accelerator model? You know, promote productivity through science, energy, and business.
The program is already bringing smiles to the community, which is elated with the change of fortunes in their locality.
The irrigation food is easy. Kushandisa, nokuti mafarmers anongwe ovurira, kungo manager avachitongodidza, avachati zvazvokera mabhaketi kana zvo. Mabhoro edu ari solarized, zvokuti hapana chinovanetsa.
Izvi ndaona sekuti zvikanyatsoitwa izvi ndinoona sekuti zvingatisimudzirawo tikadozovawo kuda vanhu vangadoonekerawo tavawo nezvimwe zvinhu zveduwo. Chero naidzo mota dziri kudotaurwa dzokunzi hatina zvekutakurisa idzi dzinopedzisira dzatotengwawo.
Government says it will continue to sponsor the village business concept as a way to empower rural communities in line with the inclusive development agenda.
Village, the company will be established with the village head as the chair. Then we upscale that to a level when we also do dams. So this is the overall agenda for the transformation of agriculture in a climate-proofed environment.
Apart from enhancing nutritional value in communities, the village business unit's approach has a potential of employing people from the particular village per site, which translates to job creation and turning farming into lucrative businesses. To date, the government approach has witnessed the sinking of over 2,000 boreholes, and 140 village business units have been fully equipped with solar and drip irrigation systems through the rural development arm of ADA. Tafara Chikomera, ZBC News, Zishavane.
Bulawayo residents have expressed disappointment that another year is about to begin with the Egodini Mall project still incomplete. More in the following report.
The initial hope has now turned into despair as the Egodini Mall project remains incomplete as the year ends in a few days' time. Launched in 2016 with much fanfare, the project initiators promised a world-class bus terminus with the state-of-the-art facilities, improved passenger flow, and a boost to the city's economy. The initial completion date of the first phase was 2017, which came and went, followed by a string of missed deadlines and dashed hopes. The uncompleted project has had a tangible impact on Bulawayo residents. The current Egodini is a chaotic mess of touts, rickety buses, and vendors selling their wares on pavements. Lack of proper sanitation and security poses health and safety risk, particularly for women and children. As the year ends, residents in Bulawayo are so disappointed by the contractor, Terracotta Private Limited, for failing to deliver on its promise.
Since 7 years later, izinto zinzima lama-toilet kawapho
sithwele nzima kakhulu ngenxa yokuthi kathesi andiyabona imoto ziyabe zixubaxubana le-traffic imoto ukuthuzana khonapha hayi ikota livulo sibili.
It's a healthy hazard. Situation esilapha hayi siyafisa ukuthi ngabe igodi liyavulwa.
For some, there is still hope, as there is some visible progress of vending and public transport bays.
Sesithoyile sabona ama-stalls akhiweyo le first phase yethu engaba i-400 bays ama-informal traders including abemchova konke lokhu even i-ablution yama-toilet isi-ready now ukutheni isebenze for informal sector.
As 2024 dawns, the question remains, will it be the year the Egodini saga finally ends, with the people of Bulawayo having to witness the dream that was sold to them by the local authority? Yolanda Moy, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
The Commander-in-Chief of the Defence Forces, His Excellency President Emmerson Mnangagwa, has promoted 6 Air Force of Zimbabwe senior officers from the rank of wing commanders to group captains and 16 squadron leaders to the rank of wing commanders.
The Air Force of Zimbabwe has stressed the importance of putting in place strategies that promote gender equality while conferring new badge of ranks to the newly promoted officers at AFZ headquarters in Harare this Friday. Commander AFZ Air Marshal Elson Moyo spoke on the importance of gender parity in the organization.
To a large extent, gender sensitive in our promotions. But remember, we are a professional organization. Therefore, it's not only a question of gender which we are looking at. We are looking at performance. If the ladies can perform better than their male counterparts, they will be equally considered for the top posts.
The newly promoted group captains are Group Captain Simon Sambadzai, Pasipano Babi, Kenny Kunaka, Peter Dondo, as well as 2 females, Group Captains Mchayeve Rwadawu and Joyce Mayeresera. Meanwhile, AFZ Chief of Staff Supporting Services Air Vice Marshal John Jacob Njede has presided over the investiture ceremony of 16 squadron leaders, who include 4 female officers who were promoted to the rank of wing commanders.
You are now grade 1 staff officers, and there are some results which are expected to come from you. You also have got to advise the juniors. You have to lead them by example.
Speaking soon after donning the new badges of ranks, the newly promoted officers pledged to give back to the AFZ and the entire nation.
My pledge as an individual is to contribute to the Vision 2030 to make sure that the Air Force is also part of it.
I'm very happy for this opportunity granted to me by the Air Force Commander. I would like to thank him for this opportunity and this promotion to be amongst the leaders and all those who have been promoted. I promise that I'll do much that is expected of me as a senior officer from today onwards.
The AFZ is constantly training its officers in a bid to remain a formidable force that will match with other defense forces from the region and beyond. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
And that's it from us here at Montrose. We now take you back to Justin and Mandipa at Pocket Cell Studios.
Thank you, Dora. And in our next story, government is intensifying the fight against cholera with the establishment of a cholera treatment center at Porepore Clinic in Kwasine, Chirezi district. More from the following report.
Home to about 12,400 people, Mkwasine is prone to cholera and other waterborne diseases. The compounds, which were previously owned by white sugarcane farmers and Tonga Juliet, Zimbabwe, do not have proper ablution facilities, while for 15 years now, the community has relied on contaminated water from canals for household purposes after the breakdown of water pumps in the compounds, a situation which has resulted in an outbreak of the cholera disease.
Cholera Kwasine takatarisisa iri kunyanya kukonzerwa nekushayikwa kwezvakawanda zvisingawanikwi atingati ma-ablution facilities like kuwanikwa kwemvura yakachena yekushandisa pamudzimba, then kushayikwawo futi kwezvimbuzi. Tanga tine mvura yaishandiswa muno ichishanda mabhafu nepamataps vanhu vachiona mvura yakachena, asi nawo hatichisina zvinhu izvezvo zvakaita dilapidate.
Hatina mateleti nemvura, mvura tinotomwa yemukanara.
Mateleti hakuna, hatisi kuwana kuti vanhu vaende kumateleti avana, vanoenda muminda nemudondo.
The local leadership in the area commended the proactive stance by government and the World Health Organization.
Food Ministry of Health and WHO tawana rubetsero for now ukufara usingaiti zvaanani pane zvatatinazvo September pakatanga first case cholera. From then asinabata zorora makesi aramba achingowedzera.
The Porepore Cholera Treatment Camp, which has an 18-bed capacity, equipped with 4 latrines, a liquid waste pit, and essential medical supplies for 60 moderate cases and 40 severe cases, aims to provide timely and appropriate health care to prevent further transmission of the disease.
The Ministry of Health and Child Care, in partnership with WHO, established a cholera treatment camp with a capacity of 18 beds at the Porepore Rural Health Center in Mkwasine. The aim of the cholera treatment camp is to provide timeous and appropriate care to patients, which will prevent further spread of disease. Its increased capacity will enable quality care and infection control.
This Thursday, 24 new suspected cholera cases were reported in Chirezi district, while 196 suspected cases were reported across the country, with the bulk of them coming from Beitbridge, Chirezi and Budiriro in Harare. Since the outbreak of the disease in February this year, Zimbabwe has recorded a cumulative total of 13,943 suspected cases, 235 suspected cholera deaths, while 1,564 laboratory confirmed cases were recorded. Gaima Tambo, ZBC News, Chirezi.
Entries for prospective participants in the Zimbabwe Science Fair have opened ahead of the exhibition set for February next year.
Science, technology, engineering and mathematics, STEM, have been adopted in Zimbabwe as basic building blocks to the implementation of the Education 5.0 model. In this context, organizers of the Zimbabwe Science Fair have set the ball rolling for the exhibition, which will run from the 21st to the 24th of February next year.
The Zimbabwe Science Fair is the most prestigious science competition for young scientists, inventors and innovators in primary and high schools in Zimbabwe. So our science fair is affiliated to the biggest science competition in the world, which is called ISEF, short for International Science and Engineering Fair. So when students enter their projects, we then select the top projects for awards in the form of scholarships, cash awards, internships, and international trips.
2022 Zimbabwe Science Fair champion and second runner-up at the Global Science Fair, Memory Bvungo, has encouraged youths to embrace STEM.
I started competing in some science fair round about, I'd say, 2017. And my first project was a diaper cleaning machine. And it was basically addressing the issue of disposable diapers that were in my area, in my community. And I competed with that in Boost, which was a festival held in Botswana. And it was a showcase for different projects from different African countries. So I represented Zimbabwe using that project, and I progressed to Eskom Expo, which was a competition in South Africa.
Each year, the Zimbabwe Science Fair attracts hundreds of most promising young scientists and engineers in Zimbabwean schools to exhibit their ideas and innovations meant to solve society's most urgent challenges. Outstanding participants at the 2024 Zimbabwe Science Fair will win tickets to fly the national flag high at the International Science and Engineering Fair in Los Angeles, USA, set for later next year. Farai Gwaze, ZBC News, Harare.
We'll be back with business after this break.
Candid, accurate, impartial, our news gathering teams are always there when it happens to give you the first true story by starting the day with an early morning call. Good Morning Zimbabwe. Catch 5-minute news updates hosted by our vibrant presenters on Newsflash daily. Relax and have lunch with us while getting informed with our live 30-minute lunchtime news bulletin. Wrap up your day from an informed position by watching the main news at 2000 hours on Monday to Saturday. Sunday edition puts the icing on the cake through its mix of science and technology, this and that, as well as showbiz feature segments. From human interest to social, our team of experienced professionals work hard to bring you the most accurate and up-to-date information from across the world on ZBC News and ZBC News Online. ZBC News, the real African voice. Nyanga is located in Nyanga District, Manicaland Province in the Eastern Highlands of Zimbabwe and lies along the international border with Mozambique. This location lies immediately north of Nyanga National Park in the Eastern Highlands, about 115 kilometers by road north of Harare, which is the third largest city in Zimbabwe. This location lies approximately 265 kilometers by road east of Harare, the capital city of Zimbabwe and the largest city in the country. Nyanga sits at an elevation of 5,509 feet above sea level. Nyanga also houses Mount Nyangani, the highest mountain in Zimbabwe, which lies about 20 kilometers southeast of the town. Its highest peak rises to approximately 2,600 meters above sea level. Nyanga is primarily a tourist town and is a popular tourist destination with its fishing, golf courses, mountain hikes, and holiday resorts. The Mutasa Falls inside Nyanga National Park are the highest waterfalls in the country, cascading about 760 meters from top to bottom. The surrounding areas also contain many Stone Age and Iron Age archaeological remains, such as pit structures, stone forts, terraces, and pathways. Inside the town is a bustling township of Nyamuka, around which there is an ever-expanding growth of high and medium-density housing. Nyanga is also the host to the largest army training camp in the country, hosting recruits from across the African continent. The Nyanga region has long been regarded as a place of great natural beauty. In 1896, Cecil John Rhodes wrote to his agent, in quotes, "Dear MacDonald, Nyanga is much fun."
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now in business, measures instituted by the government to tame inflation are bearing fruit, as shown by the latest figures from the Zimbabwe National Statistics Agency.
The economy maintained a general price stability leading up to the end of the year, as the latest statistics released by the National Statistics Agency ZimStats showed inflation rising marginally from 4.5% in November to 4.7% in December. The annual inflation rate for December is measured by the All Items Consumer Price Index, stood at 26.5%. Meanwhile, national exports value for the month of November dipped to $681 million from $831 million during the month of October, while a similar trend was also witnessed on the import side, whereby total imported goods value for October was $902 million as compared to November imports value, which fell to $827 million. Therefore, the trade deficit for the month of November stood at $146 million. According to ZimStats' latest figures, China remains the top destination for Zimbabwe's exports, accounting for almost 30% of total exports, while South Africa comes second with 16% of total exports destined for the country's neighbor, with the United Arab Emirates coming third at almost 8%. However, trade volumes between Zimbabwe and South Africa are at an all-time high if imports from the country are taken into account, as 40% of Zimbabwe's total imports are from South Africa, though representing a significant trade imbalance in favor of South Africa. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
And that's business. Next, the arts. This weekend marks the end of the year 2023, and musicians have planned to treat their fans with end-of-year gigs in and around the capital.
As is the norm, the last week of December is usually filled with festivities as artists and revelers celebrate the year end. This Friday, Felinandi takes a performance to Theatre in the Park, the place he had a first solo show. For Sungura lovers, Dzivaraseko will be the place to be Friday night, where legendary singer Alec Macheso with his band Orchestra Mberikwazho is expected to mesmerize revelers, sharing the stage with Somandla Ndebele. This is before Babashiro takes his epic performances to Chinoi this Saturday and Glendale on Sunday. Glorious Eve, Japraise is expected to electrify Gweru, where he is built to perform at Milan. The peak of the entertainment activities, however, is the 3-day Mapuvuma Festival, where performances kick off tonight in the resort city of Victoria Falls. Several local and regional artists are set to be part of the festival, and these include DJs Marabini, DT Bayo Mudimba, Diana Samkange, Gwebedzi, Holy Ten, and Baba Harare from Zimbabwe, Your Maps from Zambia, and South Africa Steps at DJ. Patience Nyanga, ZBC News, Harare.
We now take a short break. We'll be back shortly.
Candid, accurate, impartial, our news gathering teams are always there when it happens to give you the first true story by starting the day with an early morning call. Good morning, Zimbabwe. Catch 5-minute news updates hosted by our vibrant presenters on Newsflash daily. Relax and have lunch with us while getting informed with our live 30-minute lunchtime news bulletin. Wrap up your day from an informed position by watching the main news at 2000 hours on Monday to Saturday. Sunday edition puts the icing on the cake through its mix of science and technology, this and that, as well as showbiz feature segments. From human interest to social, our team of experienced professionals work hard to bring you the most accurate and up-to-date information from across the world on ZBC News and ZBC News Online. ZBC News, the real African voice. Nyanga is located in Nyanga District, Manicaland Province in the Eastern Highlands of Zimbabwe and lies along the international border with Mozambique. This location lies immediately north of Nyanga National Park in the Eastern Highlands, about 115 kilometers by road north of Harare, which is the third largest city in Zimbabwe. This location lies approximately 265 kilometers by road east of Harare, the capital city of Zimbabwe and the largest city in the country. Nyanga sits at an elevation of 5,509 feet above sea level. Nyanga also houses Mount Nyangani, the highest mountain in Zimbabwe, which lies about 20 kilometers southeast of the town. Its highest peak rises to approximately 2,600 meters above sea level. Nyanga is primarily a tourist town and is a popular tourist destination with its fishing, golf courses, mountain hikes, and holiday resorts. The Mutasa Falls inside Nyanga National Park are the highest waterfalls in the country, cascading about 760 meters from top to bottom. The surrounding areas also contain many Stone Age and Iron Age archaeological remains, such as pit structures, stone forts, terraces, and pathways. Inside the town is a bustling town.
Received the heavy rains being experienced across the country have claimed 2 lives in Mutasa district of Manicaland province following a landslide which buried a woman and her 3-month-old baby at the water company compound this Friday.
We have been receiving rains since yesterday in Mutasa district, and today at around 4 p.m. Heavy rains pounded the district, and unfortunately we lost 2 people, a young woman and a 3-month-old baby. After the house they were in was had a landslide burying the house, and efforts to rescue the people did not yield the positive results we expected. We managed to retrieve the bodies at around 5 p.m. at Sobon in the compound. So far as we speak, we are evacuating people, about 100 families, to a safer place at Sobon Primary School. That's the evacuation place that we have identified for now. It's still raining, and we fear that if we do not evacuate people, we might experience further losses to life.
Our hearts go out to the affected families. We now take a look at sport. Wilaya Giants Highlanders are heading towards yet another election season, with the club set to elect a chairperson, secretary and committee member in February next year.
Is yet another election season at Highlanders, which will in February next year elect a chairperson, secretary and committee member following the lapse of their 3-year term. Ahead of the polls, there is already an outcry over the club's 2006 Highlanders constitution, which demands elections at the club after every year or two, with the 2024 elections to be soon followed by other polls for the vice chairperson and treasurer's positions in 2025.
I think the whole process at the moment is flawed, because we are doing one and the same thing for a long time and making mistakes. This doesn't allow continuity in terms of development within the club. Why I say so is because the Constitution of Highlanders says it's a 3-year term. And if you realize it, when we are going for elections, we elect the chairman, the secretary, and the committee member, like what is going to happen in February. Then the following year, we stay, and then the other year, we elect the vice chairman and the treasurer, which is wrong. We need elections whereby we elect the entire executive. They come in at the same time and go out at the same time. And the 3-year term is too short for an executive.
Meanwhile, 4 candidates, incumbent John Fatisibanda, former chairperson Kenneth Mhlope, benefactor and South Africa-based Nodumonyati, and Dr. Qubani Moyo, are linked with the big job, although the list is expected to balloon when the nomination court sits 2 weeks before the elections. One of the candidates, Dr. Qubani Moyo, could neither confirm nor deny his interest while attributing his call from the fan base.
I've also read in the media, and I've also heard some inquiries, a number of people asking if I'll be contesting for the position of chairman of Highlanders. What I can confirm is that I'm a lifetime member of Highlanders who has participated in many activities of the club in terms of assisting the club in many respects.
Highlanders turned what looked like their year of redemption into a pipe dream as they became a punching bag for most clubs after matchday 20, ending the season on position 5 and in the process parting ways with their expatriate coach Baltimore Brito. Mthokozi Stube, ZBC News.
And that's sport. Let's check the weather.
Hello viewers, it's always a pleasure updating on what's expected in terms of the weather in and around Zimbabwe. I'm Linia from the Meteorological Services Department. So there's been abundance of moisture in the atmosphere over Zimbabwe in the past few days, and yesterday was no exception. We really had quite a heavy downpours in most parts of Zimbabwe, and here, because of limited space and time, we're going to just highlight the highest rainfall received yesterday, and that's above 70 millimeters. Meteorologically, when an area receives 50 millimeters in 24 hours, there is a high likelihood of flooding, both flash flooding and riverine flooding. And these are some of the highest rainfalls, with Sagambe 113 millimeters, Zindi 105, Wedza 95, Chisengu 91, Mondoro 85, Robert Mugabe Airport 77, Chishawasha 74, Harare Korobro and Enarazit, Maryland 70 millimeters in 24 hours. Now a quick look at the satellite images taken today clearly shows us this abundance of moisture is still upon us, and we had some rains in most parts of Zimbabwe today. Still in the night, we expect rainfall in most parts of Zimbabwe, and the highest falls are expected over the extreme northern parts of Zimbabwe. This moisture is expected to persist in our forecast for tomorrow, and hence we still anticipate mostly cloudy conditions over the southern provinces of Zimbabwe, Matabeleland and southern areas of the Midlands, Masvingo, and southern areas of Manicaland. Otherwise, to the north, the abundant moisture also should persist, and with the bit of sunbreaks, we should be seeing some isolated showers, which should be thundery in places over these areas, again with localized heavy downpours expected to persist over the extreme northern parts of Zimbabwe. A quick look at the temperatures in detail clearly shows us that our temperatures should be quite subdued in the 20s for this set of towns. This is due to the cloudiness that's expected to persist tomorrow, and hence in Harare, Bulawayo, Gweru, Mutare, Kwekwe and Kadoma, our temperatures should be mostly in the warm category. Let's have a look at the other cities where we're anticipating again our temperatures to lie mostly in the 20s. Of course, upper 20s for Lupane and Bindura, that's generally warm. So is Chinhoyi, and isolated thunderstorms are expected over the northern cities. For the holiday resort towns, we're anticipating our temperatures to be mostly in the warm category again, and the highest being Kariba. It's going to be warm, and 28 in Victoria Falls and 31 in Kariba. Otherwise, the other cities are expected to have temperatures in the 20s, with Nyanga having 19, but for Nyanga 19 is quite warm. Let's look at the outlook where we are anticipating continued reduction in rainfall and more of clearance, especially over the southern provinces. Partly cloudy conditions expected over Matabeleland southern areas of the Midlands, Mashingo, as well as southern areas of Manicaland. But we should have persistence of isolated showers, which could be thunder in places over the northern parts of Zimbabwe. Rainfalls amounting to about 15, 20 or 25 millimeters can still contributing to flooding, both flash flooding and riverine flooding. So we still encourage everybody not to try to cross flooded rivers, as this can lead to loss of lives. Even those who are driving, they are encouraged not to do so. That's all we have from the weather desk. Do you have a good night and a pleasant viewing.
And that weather report concludes the main news. Good night.
Good night.
In Africa, was the long time.
Sem considerar naturalmente o Império do Mali, etc.
Without considering the Mali Empire.
Portanto, aqui na África Austral, o Império do Mono Motapa era o único que tinha esse tipo de construção, e isso levou a criar...
In Southern Africa, the Mono Motapa was the only